All right, good morning. It is Sunday, February 7th, Super Bowl Sunday. Who do I want to win? Well, it's the guy who ruined my life for 20 years versus the guy that ruined my life last week and probably will for the next 20 years. So I hope Team Rough wins in the Puppy Bowl. That's who I hope wins. But today we are doing the bigger loop. It's a 2-hour workout. That is periods of, let's see if I can't pull it up here so you can take a look at it. Back. Here we go. So this is what it looks like. So a brief, 15-minute warm-up session, and then we got 10 minutes at 242 and 12 minutes at 166, and just periods of that. Total time, 2 hours and 9 minutes. We're doing the bigger loop, which is 33.1 miles, so you will see that hopefully accomplished. And today we're going to be playing a couple interviews from my podcast. Let's pull it up here. Local file here. So the first episode that we are going to play today is episode 4. This is a good one. His name's Jay Thomas. He is a competitive inline speed skater. So that's about it. I hope you enjoy it. And we'll see you on the other side. Here we go. Bills.
Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to the 4th edition of the Go4TheGoldy Podcast. And this one I am very, very excited for. We have Jay Thomas, who is an inline speed skater. And the reason I'm so excited about this one is because I had no idea that this was even a thing until a couple days ago, or a week, whenever the heck we started talking. So, Jay, welcome to the show today.
Hey, good to be here. This is awesome.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, especially since it is a Sunday, and I'm sure your time is valuable. But I have some people, a lot of people that are very excited to talk to you about this sport and everything that you have going on with it. So to get started, I always kind of like to get kind of show a background as to how I came across you and how we became, how we got in touch. And with my Twitch live stream, I'm on my bike all the time, and people kind of drop in, and I always kind of like to ask the question over there, do you race? Do you just like doing this recreationally? And then I asked you, and to be honest, your handle got my attention, right, Pimp?
I know, right?
And what's exactly your handle on Twitch?
It's Pimp Left.
There you go.
It's a long story, but years ago I came up with a character named Pimp Left Scuff, and that's what it came from. So when I created a Twitch account, I couldn't think of any other thing, so I just put that in there.
Well, it got my attention. So
now it's turned into this funny thing, that inside jokes and all that. So
that's the best though, when it's organic like that, right?
Yep.
Well,
yep.
So I asked him, he was on the Twitch live stream, and I said, Jay, what do you do? Why you ride? You race? You doing it to stay in shape, or do you have any type of goals? And what was your answer? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think I said it was cross training for inline speed skating.
That's exactly what you said.
Yeah,
and then right off the bat, my head I had a bazillion questions. Like right off the bat, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, what? So, and then as we started to talk a little bit, kind of, back and obviously it's the most efficient way of communication when you're, I'm screaming at a computer while I'm on a bike, and I don't even know the hell if you're listening or not, or if you're paying attention, and you're typing. So I told Jay, I said, listen, man, I want to know a little about this as possible because I want to learn about this, on the show. If you'd be willing to come on the show, I'd love to hear about this. So, and then he dropped a tidbit that he didn't even get into it until he was 40 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, about 8 years ago.
That's amazing.
48.
That's amazing. That's absolutely, and that's why as soon as you said that, I'm like, you are exact, because I didn't know if you were, you could have been a 16-year-old kid just getting into it or something. But as soon as you said, I got into this at 40, I'm like, you are exactly the person that I need to talk to when people need to hear from regarding that sport.
Actually, I didn't compete till I was 40, but I started skating when I was like a few years before that. So maybe I was 35, maybe 36.
Either way, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So I want to get right into it here. Let's go background first, right? So I'm sure that you competed in some kind of sport, or something, some kind of athletics before the age of 35 or whenever you got into it. So let's hear about kind of your path. Let's take me up right until you got into online speed skating. What's your history? Did you play high school, college, anything recreationally? Just kind of let's hear the whole thing here.
Yeah, in high school, I played, I did a couple years of football. I ran track. I did cross country, basketball. Then in college, I changed. I got, I was kind of sick of like running sports and all that. I wanted to do something different. So I got into cycling in college. I did 2 years of that. And then I did actually a duathlon in college once.
Nice.
So running and biking. Before I got to even high school, I was an age group swimmer. So I was a butterfly and freestyle guy.
Jay, that's so funny you say that because Friday I had a swimmer on the podcast, and then yesterday I had a duathlete. So how funny is that?
Oh, no way.
You mentioned those. You did two sports, and those are the two guests I had previous to you. So that's funny.
Yeah, it's a meaningful coincidence.
It is. That's right.
So in college I did 2 years of cycling, and then after that I pretty much was flat for a while. I didn't really do anything. And then I was 30. I was 2006, 2005. I was married at the time. I was pushing 238 pounds. I'm 6'1". People thought, "Hey, Jay, you look great. You going to the gym?" I'm like, "No, I'm just sitting on my butt." So, I started going to the gym with my wife at the time, and then I shed like 30, 40 pounds, stayed at 200. So then I got bored, running on the treadmill is okay. I was like, I need something more for cardio that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so boring, sitting on a treadmill, reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got this idea. I'm going to get my old inline skates out I had in college. I'm going to skate because I think I had seen on TV, some of the Olympics, and I thought the speed skaters looked really cool, So I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could skate on anything that had a blade, whether it was on ice or whether it was on wheels. So then I was like, all right, I want to try this. And of course, it was kind of ugly. I mean, I didn't fall that much, but when you love something, like, it doesn't matter if you suck or not. You just do it, and it's fun. So
you had skates in college. You had inline skates in college, but you weren't like they were more recreational to get from point A to point B. Maybe,
right.
You skate with some chicks here and there, right?
I don't think that happened. I wish it did.
Okay. So you really didn't have any. So when you decided that you needed something a little bit more for cardio, where was the first place you went to kind of say, I want to do maybe this competitively or just a notch above, just kind of going nowhere on a treadmill?
With the first place I went skating, there's in Toledo here, there's there's a trail that starts at the university, and it's like 7 miles out and back.
Okay.
Well, one way. So I got on that and I just started noodling around. I couldn't even get to the end when I first started. So, and I remember, like, well, this is when I was in college. I remember seeing this older guy just fly by me, and he had his hands behind behind his back, and he just sailed by me like he was just like the best day of his life. So like, how do you do that? So, I always kept that in my head. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So then this was in college. So then I put the skates away for years and come back in 2006 and start messing with that again. And eventually I got better. After each skate, I was horribly sore because that works all your core muscles. Mm-hmm. But I loved it. I was like, I want to do this again.
That's awesome.
So I go.
Well, I was gonna say, what's funny is I listen to these like hype up, they get you jacked up videos on YouTube. It's all these motivational. It's kind of cheesy, but I listen to a lot of them. And one of them, a quote from one of them that I love is your dreams usually don't, or like your dreams or your goals, or things that really inspire you usually don't come and hit you over the face. They come at you from behind. So when you say, in college, I saw this guy, and that stayed with you for years. You always had, you know what I mean? And it's always funny to apply these things that you hear on these motivational things, and then, see them actually apply in real life to situations like that. So you start, you get back into it, you're skating and everything. And then how did you get in contact with, this community? So for me, I like to think that I am pretty in tune with, the athletic world, and this is something I didn't know existed, so how did you come in contact with people that, or the community, I guess, that engages in these races and stuff like that?
Oh, the skating community.
Yeah.
What had happened was, so I'm going along. I'm skating in the summers outside on rec skates, and then right before this, probably the summer before I hit 40. Well, I was 40 at that time, so I realized I'm like, what, winter's coming, and I want to keep skating. Mm-hmm. I want to do something.
Those winters up there are cold. That's for sure.
They are. They are.
Cold long.
Oh, you got that right. And so, so I got online and I looked up like inline speed skating indoors, inline skating inside, and I found some teams, and a couple of them were up in Michigan. I'm right on the border. Mm-hmm. So one was about an hour and a half away, and one was an hour. And there was nothing in Ohio at the time. The league in Ohio had folded. It's slowly coming back. But so I contacted this team up in Canton. My girlfriend teases me because I say Canton. So they have a team up there, and it's slightly under an hour. And I said, well, this is manageable.
The Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Canton, Michigan.
Canton, Michigan.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
didn't know that existed. So there you go.
Yep, right there. So I went up there. I called them, and I emailed them and said I'm interested in skating with you guys. And at that point, I had no aspirations to race. I just wanted to do that for a couple hours, 2-3 times a week.
You didn't even know what you were getting into. You knew you liked skating, and you knew there was a community that did it in the winter. So awesome. Yep. So you took the plunge, not knowing, kind of being, free to the idea of, wherever this takes you, you're just along for the ride. You just like the sport. Yep. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I went up there, and I didn't know inline skating is different inside from outside. So inside is, the best way to describe it is just like they describe on ice. It's NASCAR on skates. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole different technique. Indoors, turning left, getting your body position right. So I got up there and skated with the beginners for probably a few weeks, and then after that, and they said, well, why don't you just skate with the advanced skaters, because there's at this point the guy said there's nothing else I can teach you. So
Time to level up.
But, yeah, level up, you know. Get that XP, you know.
That's right.
So it was Chris is the guy that was the beginning skating coach, and he's like 60 right now. So yeah, so I did that, and then he's like, well, you know, you go to races and things. You are planning on competing, aren't you? I'm like,
excuse me.
I don't know.
Now, for those of you who may be watching and didn't see the art for this episode, so like I told you, I met Jay on Twitch, so I didn't know a thing about him, right? I don't know what the hell he looks like. I don't know anything. So I actually sent him a whisper. That's what the DMs are called on Twitch. And I'm like, hey, can you, here's my phone number. Shoot me a text and, like give you info for the show. And I said, can you send me a picture of you maybe skating? So, I can kind of promote it because I use it as the cover art for each show, the athlete that I interview. Honest to God, you sent it to me and I went, holy shit. And I brought it over. I go, Jenny, look at this guy. And she went, that's not real. That's not what his quads look like. And
everyone says it.
And I was out to dinner with a couple of my friends last night, and I showed him the picture. Same reaction. Just wait, what? So no, it's obviously there is a lot of power that comes, like you said, it's all your core when you're racing, and
right.
That's where a lot of the power comes from. But just I don't know. I just thought that was I just had to let you know that was when he sent me that picture. I was like, okie dokie, this guy is jacked. All right.
It's funny because I don't know if you've run into Big Trouser yet online. He's a Zwifter and he does Twit. He broadcasts, but he always has a comment. He's like, yeah, Jay's gonna start crushing watermelons with his thighs, just like, or pimp,
or heads or something, man. Yeah, those things are lethal.
Man, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. It's all right. So keep going on with the racing. So you advance past the beginner, and they're like, "We want you to race," and you're like, "Wasn't even considering." Oh, real quick, we have someone who jumped in the chat, and she's asking, "What does a typical?" So we have, I don't know if you know this, Jay, we have comments running kind of parallel to this. So if people have questions, I'll, always want to answer the questions from people watching. So what does a typical workout for you look like? That's the question from Jenny Lynn.
A typical workout, like at speed practice or speed skating practice? Yeah. Okay.
I'd assume.
So yeah, I'll assume this is at one of our practices. So typically what you do, you get there, you get suited up. Usually what we do first is a pace line. So we're skating in a circle. It's 100 meters around, and it's at a roller rink. It's your typical local roller rink.
Okay.
And so usually it depends. Everyone takes a turn doing a few laps. So anywhere from 3 to 5 laps per person. And they always line us up fast to fastest.
Okay.
They never say slow to fast. It's always fast to fastest. So typically, like, the younger ones will be in the front first because the fast people will go slower than the fastest.
Okay.
So usually it's a lot of the younger kids. And what happens after you take your turn is you drop back and then you get on the back. So you're in the back of the draft. And what happens is gradually it picks up, it gets a little bit faster and a little bit faster. So if sometimes we have, maybe 12 to 15 skaters. And if you're doing like 5 laps a piece, that's 60 laps around.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it like, I know you said you played football, and I'm sure this is an outdated term now. But I guess you call it like a Native American run. You know what I'm talking about? Remember when you did those in football where,
Indian runs.
Indian runs, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, that's an outdated name.
I know it's not PT.
Right. But you know what I'm trying to say. So
yeah.
Is it similar, but just kind of like a reverse concept? Because it sounds like, because back in those, you'd have to run at the front, right? Where now it's the guy in the front or person in the front when you're skating. is going to the back. Is that how it is?
Yeah, they go to the back and then they hang on for as long as they can.
Got it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so then
So
you start with that, and then you said about 60 laps. It wind up, give or take, generally speaking. That's how
just
long.
about, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, you stretch for a few minutes.
Okay.
And then you come back on the floor, and there's usually another drill after that. So early in the season, we'll do the warm up pace and then stretch, and then early in the season we'll do technique drills. So that could mean we'll do maybe small circle drills.
Okay.
So what those do is they help you enter the corner. So basically going into the turn in a race. That's what that's set up to do. So it's all about learning to get on the edge of your wheels. You'll hear that a lot in skating because your edge is where all your speed is. So it's like you ever watch those super bikes?
I was just about to say the concept you're talking about is when you see those guys on the motorcycle where their knees are like scraping the ground. Like that's what I'm picturing, like that same concept.
Yep, they're on the edges. They're on the edge of the wheels, you know. So it's kind of like that. Also, if you've ever seen Olympic speed skating, how they're so far over like that and they're touching the ground or the ice, they're on the edge of their blades. Except on inlines, we are on the edge of our wheels. And I have my skate here with me. So
nice.
You want to be on that edge, your inside edge, if you're turning left. These are outdoor.
We do have I do have a question about your skates. Can you hold them up a little bit higher? We couldn't see the wheels there. So that's the thing that you notice too, is look how big that these wheels are. And if you're listening to just the audio on this, picture a normal rollerblade that you see, inline hockey players on or whatever. These are probably I'd say 2 times the size per wheel. And they go well beyond the toe, and it's behind the heel as well. So it's 4 pretty big wheels, lined up. So we're going to get to that in a little bit, but I don't want to lose track here. So, so you did when I say lose track, I'm just taking in my mind because I'm a dummy and I forget what we're talking about all the time. So I got to keep my mind going.
I understand.
So you work on those techniques, and then what?
Then we'll come back and we'll maybe do some early in the season. We'll do some longer conditioning stuff. So we might do maybe something called catch the pack. So what that is like we go around the rink in a pace line, and then someone will split off the front, and they have to go fairly fast and catch the end of the pack or the peloton, or what we call it, the pace line. So the pace, if the pace line's moving relatively fast, not like at a sprint, but just a nice solid pace, it's going to take longer for someone to catch the pack. And it can get tiring.
I imagine.
So it's just like, say if you're running around a track in a group, and then the coach says, all right, Jay, catch the pack. The group stays at their pace, then you have to run all the way around until you catch the end of everybody else, and then you stay there.
That's exhausting.
And keep going.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So my question, I think we got a pretty good idea about your practices. I'm exhausted hearing about it.
Yeah, they'll kick your butt real good.
Oh, sounds like it. And if anyone has never, really roller skated, or inline skated, I mean, for me, my lower back always hurts, because it's just like you're in a weird position, But let's go back to you talking about your coach introducing you to the racing aspect of it. This is where, for me, this is where kind of the crux of what this whole, show is about, is introducing the world to individuals who have that competitive drive in them, who want to compete, at a high level, as high as they can, later in life, as high school and college is over. Well, what are my options now? And the idea of you, later in life, picking up your skates, kind of, looking back and saying, hey, I really want to compete in something and, stay active. And then a coach approaches you at one of the practices and says, I want you to compete. Let's go from there. So then what's it like after that? When he approaches you and says, I want you to compete, what do you say? I mean, obviously you said yes, but
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, no.
Here we go. Here's a whole new can of worms, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I mean, in sort of the back of my mind, I was thinking I would like to race,
Mm-hmm.
In the summer before I came in and for indoor, like I did a half marathon in Chicago on skates. The Chicago
Skates.
Inline Marathon. Yeah, it's a fairly popular one.
No, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You just broke my head. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's
I
pause
forgot
your
to mention that one.
Yeah, holy cow. So wait, you compete. Okay, let's take that for a second. So there is a thing where you can skate half marathons? Or is that
Yeah,
just a one-off, or is there like a circuit of it, or what is that? I don't even know what
they're a little bit sporadic. The two bigger ones are the Chicago Inline Marathon and North Shore Inline Marathon. The North Shore is up in St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah, Duluth. I'm sorry, Duluth,
Okay.
Minnesota, in late September. That's a big one. So you can either skate a half, you can skate a whole. I think there's some shorter distance ones too.
What kind of times are we looking at for those? Like what's like let's say for a marathon that you're running, right? Like to qualify for my age group for the Boston Marathon, that's a 3 hour, just for a frame of reference. To qualify for the Boston Marathon, give or take a couple minutes, 3 hours is typically, what you're shooting for. So what's a typical time for a marathon on skates or a half marathon, do you know?
Half marathon, probably you're looking at, I want to say 40 to 45 minutes.
Wow.
About maybe 40-ish. The pros will do it about that fast or even faster. So if you're talking a marathon, probably under 2 hours.
Wow.
Well, under 2 hours, yeah, for the pros,
Because if I take the equivalent of that, so my last half marathon I did an hour and a half, and that's a 7-minute mile. So if you're taking half of that, right, for a half marathon's 45 minutes, you double the speed. So you're going 14 miles an hour. Or I'm sorry, 3 minute and 50-second mile. You're cooking. Yeah. You're moving pretty good there.
Yeah, and when I go out and do my thing here in town, like 14 miles, like I can do that in about 50 minutes, and that's like not straight at the same speed because I have to stop for intersections and things.
Right. Yeah, that's why I get annoyed riding my bike, because I'm like, you get going, you feeling good, and then you got to stop and wait. It's like, come on.
Yeah, you lose your rhythm.
Yeah. So you blew my mind with that. I'm definitely going to look into that. I can hear my fiance probably in the other room right now, like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's gonna do it. He's gonna get into another thing. Are you kidding me? And you're gonna be the one to blame. So thank you for that.
I forgot to mention that one, but
no, that's incredible. I didn't know that it existed. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so going back to that's a whole other rabbit hole that I myself am going to go down. So you inspired me, so I know at least.
Also, there's if you can look up, there's a Berlin one too. I think there's YouTube on that, some of the entire Berlin inline marathons.
How cool that is! Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a mind blower right there. So let's talk about you competing again. So coach approaches you. What are the next steps now? So you're obviously going to be competing with the, at least practicing with the advanced people now. And what's the path look like to a competition? What's a competition look like? Let's get into that.
So I start competing. So one of the first things Chris says to me is like, well, you got a trainer. And this before I think smart trainers are out. I said, no. He's like, you might want to get one. So I went and got, a Cyclops magnetic trainer. And it's like,
that's what I have.
Yep. They do the job.
Yeah, they do.
And, a cadence sensor. And so I did that. And that's kind of where cycling kind of started drifting back into my life. So on nights that I didn't have skate practice, I would either be on the trainer or doing what we call dry land exercises. So those are just like their form. So you're practicing your skating form in your living room, in your sock feet, maybe doing wall sits, things like that.
Okay.
So I'm doing that during the week. I'm going to skating 3 times a week. And usually, maybe once a month, at that time, there was a little bit more meet. So we go to a meet. And I'm in the Great Lakes region. So that's Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So we'd have meets anywhere in those states.
Because you're in Toledo, right?
Yeah, I'm in Toledo.
Yeah.
So meets are early AF in the morning. So the rink will open because they want to get the skating over because they have, skating
Public
sessions
skates
later in the
and
day.
stuff.
Yeah. Make the money. So
yeah, that's right.
Birthday parties or whatever. So you get there, it's like, you wake up, it's like 5, and you be at the rink by 6. And you're sitting in the hotel thinking, why in the hell am I doing this?
Yeah.
If you're not a morning person.
Yep. I learned that with triathlon, so I get it. I definitely get it.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So depending upon your age group, that's going to determine really what time you need to be there. So
this is broken down by age group.
Yeah. So there's like tiny tots all the way through Esquire, Grand Esquire, which is like 55 and up.
So between the the kids and the 55 and up, is it broken? Because I know in triathlon, in my world, it's 5-year increments. Is it like that with it? Okay, got it.
So yeah, when I started, I was a master, so that's 40 to 45, and now I am a veteran, 45 to 50.
Okay.
I just said that. So
and it's recorded. It's on the internet, baby. It's there to live.
It is. So So
I see the cat rubbing up against your mic there. You want in? You want in?
That's Phoenix.
You want to interview Phoenix? Phoenix, you a skater?
He wants to be. So at that time too, there's
Bye, Phoenix.
There's novice, which is beginning, and elite. It changes now. We're called elite if you're standard, if you're not a beginner. So the novice will go first. All the novice events will go first. So when I was a novice, I was skating. I had to be there at like 6 a.m. Racing starts at 7. You do 3 events in your division. We call it skating division. So for me, we'll say I was a master. So when I was a master, my 3 races it started out the middle distance, the short distance, and the long distance. So the middle distance for me as a master man was 10 laps. So that's 1,000 meters.
And it was what distance? I'm sorry?
1,000 meters, 500 and 1,500.
So like sprint, mid, long. That's like
right.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Mid, sprint, yeah. So so I'd say my best starting was probably my middle and sprint distances, and then I think as time has developed, I'm a little bit more of a distance skater, mid to middle. So you do those, and each division does their distance. So for a younger person, their distances are going to be a little bit different. They might run like a 15, like as a mid. Maybe they'll still have like a short sprint, like a 5, and then maybe a longer distance race, maybe a 20 lap race.
Okay.
As you get older, they get shorter. So now, as a veteran, I have my middle is 7, short is 5, still long is 10, and I love that. I tell you that 15 lap race is like I'm good until like 8 or 9, and then you're just like, holy shit, make it stop.
That's kind of like what happens when you go from half marathon to marathon distance, right? Like you get to like mile 15, you're like, okay, enough with this.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never done. I always wanted to do a marathon, but yeah, I've run longer distances, and you hit a point where it's just like, oh Jesus.
But that's where you get the, that's where I think the value comes in as an athlete, right? I mean, when you get to that wall and push past that wall and get to do stuff that you didn't think was physically possible. Because what reminded when you said that you used to do sprint and mid, that was kind of your forte, and now you're getting, more comfortable in the endurance stuff. I used to, and I feel like your background, like you said, you're a football player, like the short, that mentality of dump the energy as much as you can, play to play, because you're going to rest for a while. That sprint mentality, is kind of what drew me to, 5Ks and that kind of distance, beginning. But, as I'm getting older too, I start to, why not do a half Ironman? Why not do an Ironman? Why not do marathons or endurance, ultra runs and stuff like that? So I totally get what you're saying. And honestly too, as you get older, the endurance stuff is kind of more appealing too, because as you get older, the older people are better at the endurance stuff, because slow twitch muscle fiber, you start to really peak, into your 40s, where you see a lot of these guys in Ironman competitions who are winning it are in their 40s. Some of the best in the world are that age. So it makes sense that, that you kind of made that transition too. But
the beautiful thing about it, you can transition into a sport like this and you still got life left, a lot of it.
Well, Jay, this is exactly why as soon as I heard what you did, I was just like, boom, I gotta talk to this guy, because you're inspiring me. Like my fiance's gonna kill me. She's gonna be so angry because I'm gonna want to do this. So you get there, depending on what race you're doing on race day, regardless of where you're at, you're still got to get there pretty early, and there's the different distances. Now, let me ask you this: how many people are in a race, and how do you have to qualify for? Can anyone just sign up to do a race, or do you have to hit like pre-qualifications? Because obviously there's a finite number of space in a rink.
Right.
So how do you get there? Obviously you had a coach that kind of advised you, hey, but kind of get to shed some light on like kind of that whole aspect of it.
Pretty much anyone can sign up. I mean, you have to have a amateur card through the governing body, USA Roller Sports, but I mean that's easy to do.
Is it you just you pay for it, and they like with triathlon, you have to have a USA Triathlon membership in order to race and everything. So is that pretty much what it's like with the what did you say, USA, what's it called?
Yeah, USA Roller Sports.
Do you and in the show notes after this, I'm gonna put Jay's social media stuff in here, but I'm also gonna put some links for if you're looking to get involved in this sport. So Jay, shoot me over after this is done. Shoot me over the website for where if you wanted to sign up to kind of get started, and I'll put that in the show notes after the show as well.
Okay. Yeah, people can probably go to USA Roller Sports and look at what region they're in and see what teams are in that region. You
better believe I'll be doing that right after this. So.
Yeah. So when you get to a meet, usually, there's they warm up each age group by age. So they'll call it tiny tots, come out to the floor take your warm-ups for 3 minutes. Then they're done. Then there's music playing. There's a DJ and everything. It's kind of fun.
That's cool.
So they go through all the warm-ups and then the races start. As far as like people in a particular race, there's up to 6 people on, we say it's on the line, meaning 6 people in the race or people on the starting line.
Okay.
So what happens before you get on the starting line is they'll call you up. They'll say, veteran men, please go check in for your 500 meter. So you go over to the check-in, and they have your name down there, and you have I didn't bring it upstairs with me. You have a helmet cover, and you show them your helmet cover. Like Jay and Thomas 758, I got you. So then you go and you sit in these chairs that are on the wall, on the floor, and you wait for the other age groups to race, and then they call you up. But before that happens, you draw a number, and that number is for your spot on the starting line. So if there's 6 of you, there's 6 numbers. The guy, sometimes it's bingo numbers. So he's shaking the little bottle and he pours them out, and he says, open your hand, and he pours one out, and that's your number.
Because at the end of the day, this is still amateur, right?
Yeah. So you'll either get the pylon, which is the innermost spot on the starting line, and that's a good spot to be, or you'll get the wall. You'll be right on the wall, which is it's a little bit of a difficult space to start in, running down the floor in skates.
It's like horse racing, right? I mean, it's you never want to be that outside guy, because that's the longest way to get to the the pack. So I mean, any circular sport like that, NASCAR and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, crit racing. Yep.
So you do that, and I call you up, and then there you go. You're on the starting line, and they have the gun. Now, if you false, I think it's like any other sport like this. If you false start, then the first time you got to start 4 feet back from everybody else. So they'll call you back, and then the ref will tap you on the back and say, "Hey, yo, bro, you got to stand back.
Get back, loser."
Yeah. But then it's but sometimes you can make that up. I rarely false start, but sometimes it happens. But you get jumpy because you want that advantage,
And it's just the adrenaline of sitting there, looking down straight ahead, looking at the other people. I mean, that moment is. I used to think, because I was a swimmer, and that moment when you're on the blocks and you just kind of hear the noise leave the room, that split, that second or two that you're waiting for that gun to go off, or whatever, the bell or whatever indicates the beginning of the race. That moment is so intense that I think a lot of us as athletes growing up are always kind of chasing that dragon, are always trying to find that again. And I think, I mean, I obviously can't speak for you, but I mean, it sounds like, when your coach asked you to race again, you were kind of a lost puppy for a little bit, you're like, I gotta exercise. I gotta get this beast out of me. But, just running on a treadmill, reading a book, like you said, ain't going to do it, so then you kind of went down the path of competition. And I think that's in all of us as athletes that have competed at levels, growing up. When you talk about like the pole position, in the wall, so, you pull that in between, like how many, and I'm sure there's a disparity between, race to race, but generally speaking, like how many do you think, would you say, are in a race at a given event that you go to?
Oh, how many people there? How many entries? I'd say anywhere from maybe 80 to 120. And that's
in a single race.
Well, not in a single race, like entries in a at a meet, but at a single race on average, like there's a lot more younger kids than there are older people. So sometimes it's just me and someone else in my division, in my age group.
That's got to be pretty intense.
And it's a drag race pretty much.
That's awesome.
But lately, the last couple times I raced, there was 3 of us. And the thing with like the speed skating community is it's pretty close knit. So whether you're at nationals or regionals or local, like you people, because over the years, like you keep seeing each other and you race against each other all the time. So the cool thing about it is, it's kind of like, Twitch. we all know each other, so we're always like giving each other pointers and hanging out in the chat or whatnot.
So you piqued my interest again now even more when you said for those watching, there's a bug that keeps flying into my face. That's why I'm smacking my head a lot, but it's one of those damn fruit flies. But anyways, so you said nationals. So you're really painting a great picture here. So you're in college. This guy flies by on skates, and you're like, what the hell is that? and that sits in your brain for, let's say, 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah, about 10 years.
There you go. So then you start thinking, how am I going to, maybe I'll pick this up again. And then, you do a little research, find out there's skates, you drive an hour to go to these practices. All of a sudden you start getting better at it. Coach hits you up. Hey, I want you to compete. You should go to the advanced people. Now you're talking about, you just kind of drop that info. You're like, yeah, you see the same people at nationals. So I'm assuming you've been to nationals.
Yeah, I've been to nationals.
So there you go.
Times.
So how do you get to nationals? What's a path look like for someone who is just starting out to, follow the kind of the same path that you've been to? What are the qualifying characteristics? Like, what do you have to do to get there?
So to get to nationals, you have to qualify at your regional meet. And now, if it weren't for COVID, regionals were supposed to be at my home rink in Canton.
Oh, Michigan. That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So rinks, they take turns hosting regionals. So basically what you have to do to qualify, you have to place first, second, or third in your races, whatever they are in your division.
Okay.
You can also qualify for a relay, too. Relays are crazy. They're fun. So there's a multitude of ways you can qualify. So if you're like, for me, it's been relatively easy because when you're older, like you don't have a lot of people that are competing in your division. So it's not terribly hard. Now, when you get to nationals, that's where like the heat comes. Yeah, that's where people are just wicked fast. But
so at nationals, is it in the same spot every year, or is it does it change on an annual basis? How does that work?
Yeah, it's for the most part it's been in the same spot, but sometimes it changes. Like last year it was in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
2 years in a row it was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And let me tell you, that was hard for me because the altitude there. So I would do I go out and warm up. Let me do a couple of fast laps, and by the end of the first fast lap, I was like sucking air. Oh man.
I bet. That's you forget about that, the altitude, because I know a lot of triathletes live out west in those areas. What's the big one? I think Flagstaff's another big one where a lot of endurance athletes live, because you can live not at altitude, but you have the ability to train at altitude. And then there's that whole argument about, is it better to live at altitude and train there as well, or is it better to live? But either way, yes, it's a super challenge to do that.
Yeah, it was tough. I did good there, but it was hard.
So what's good? Yeah, what do you mean you did good there? Let's hear.
So, yeah, Albuquerque, I did. I was a master then, so I had a 15, a 7, and a 5. So I was skating novice division then.
So, and when you say 15, 7, 5, that's the distances, right?
Distances, yeah.
Okay.
So at my best place, there was I was a third in the middle distance, the 7 lap.
At nationals.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's freaking awesome. Yeah.
That was hard fought too, let me tell you. One guy went down in front of me. It's like, when that happens, like you have to make really fast decisions on what you're going to do in skating. Like if someone goes down, if you want to move up a spot during the race, everything is like so close together. So say like you want to make a pass, you have to plan that thing out like a half a lap or a lap before, but you'll see it, because you'll say, oh, you know what? I think I got this guy. So you're coming into the turn, you want to back off a little bit, and then coming out of the turn, by the middle of that straightaway, you want to be going past whoever it is you want to pass. That's
got to be pretty intense, because one false move, you're on the ground.
Right. You might kick someone's skate.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it exciting to be in, and it's also very exciting to watch.
So we have another question from a viewer here. Have you ever crashed? Speaking of
Oh,
crashing.
yeah, I've got some floor burns.
Yeah, I bet. You're not sliding like on ice. You are.
You know what's funny about that is like the coating on the floor is called roll-on.
Okay.
It's a plastic kind of coating. So it a lot of times it's fresh, like at nationals and regionals, they make sure the floor has good roll-on. So when someone falls, you hear that skin screech.
Oh.
You hear this collective, oh.
I just did it. I didn't even hear it.
Yeah. Now, when the floor is like old and it's wore out, you'll kind of slide. But when it's fresh, you'll just come to a stop. Like,
because they want your wheels to stick. I mean, when you're on the edge like that, it definitely makes sense that they would do that.
Yep, you want that. But
so nationals. So you go to nationals and you compete there. Is there any type of event after that? Like, is there a worlds or anything like that? Where any international competition that you can go with that?
Yeah, there is. And worlds is for usually the younger skaters, and they have to qualify. I forget how they qualify. I think they have to qualify at nationals or there's actually I think there's tryouts for that. So the world team is sponsored by the governing body, USARS, in the United States. So it's kind of a big deal. It changes every year where the world's competition is.
Okay.
It's very it's highly competitive.
I can imagine.
You can go online and look up like World Inline Skating Speed Championships, and there's YouTubes of lots of different events on there.
Yeah, just shoot me a link. Shoot me along with the governing body. Just shoot me that website too, and then I'll put it in the show notes for everybody afterwards so they can check it out if they're interested. So the other, and I always like to come at this kind of aspect of things as well. So, I mean, you're on the bike, you're cross training, you're doing the dry land stuff, you're going to these meets, you're working your ass off, you're going to nationals, doing all this really cool stuff. But this isn't your full-time job. This is,
right.
So let's talk about what do you do? What do you do outside of skating? How do you fit all of this in? What's a typical week of training, look like?
So my day job, I work for a Medicaid insurance company called Buckeye Health Plan. I'm a behavioral case manager. So basically my job is to help people on the mental health side stay connected with services so they don't go back to the psych unit time again or go in inpatient for something medical lots of times. My background, my graduate degree is in rehabilitation counseling, and I'm a licensed counselor.
Pretty rewarding work, it sounds like.
State of Ohio. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So training wise, maybe I work 8 to 5, I'll get off. So if it's like Monday, like nowadays, like I'm a musician too, so I still study.
It's amazing. What do you play?
I'm a drummer. I play drums. And
on top of this, folks, right as we jumped on the podcast, he mentions that he also has his own show as well. So, inline speed skater, musician.
I do too.
You have your own show. You're working, you're working your 8 to 5. Like, this is incredible, and this is exactly the kind of people that I want to talk to, as the show goes on. So, that's amazing. So you're working 8 to 5. Jesus. So you're doing so much stuff. Do you have specific, days or times that, like for me, I know when a Sunday night activity for me is I make a calendar, Monday through Friday, an hour by hour, and I put it on the fridge of exactly what I'll be doing every hour the rest of the week. Okay. For you, do you have any kind of set training schedule or set schedule like Wednesday night is dedicated to music after work, or Tuesday, Thursday, or I'm going to cycle, and Monday, Friday are my blade days, or what, what I mean? Like how does that usually work?
Yeah, I'm not quite that organized, but I have sort of a rough idea of what I do. So Monday, after the drum lesson's over, like I'll either get a ride in or I'll skate. So I have my stuff in the car with me to go straight to whatever I'm doing. Tuesday, when it's not COVID stuff, Tuesday evening I go to work. Then I drive an hour up to Canton and I have skate practice from 6:45 to 8:30. Come home late, eat, go to bed. So then Wednesdays are usually it's a day where I'm not at practice. So that's either a ride or a skate. In the summer, it's a group ride here in town. So and it ends up being pretty doggone fast. So I'm like, because some strong people show up. So I'm hanging on for dear life for 26 miles.
Well, I saw on
In
your
fact,
Instagram.
yeah.
Wait, what did you just say? 26 miles.
Yeah, it's about 26 miles that group ride is.
I mean, that's a marathon. So there you go. Holy cow. Wow. That's a lot of skating.
So now that, COVID's around, there's no speed practice.
Right.
Tuesday night is a group ride too, and that's 28 miles, but it's a little bit more mild than the Wednesday night one.
Because I saw on your Instagram, because when I asked you for your handle earlier today,
mm-hmm.
I was scrolling through it, and you got some pretty cool videos up there about, like you practicing, and then one of them was a line that I saw that you must have been recording while you were skating. Like, wow,
oh yeah,
that's pretty damn impressive.
Some buddies of mine came down, and we did an outdoor skate together. We did a pace line on the trail. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it for from start to finish, from the time that you got into it to the time that, however old you are now, 48 you said. How
mm-hmm.
long has it been? You've been doing it for about, 10 years now? A little over-ish?
With everything, so 13 maybe, because I did it a few years before I even started racing. So I was just outside learning the technique,
mm-hmm.
sitting in the parking lot at U of Toledo with headphones and YouTube videos, like watching. I'm like, okay, let me try this thing. Let me try that. And then I would go skate, 10 or 12 miles.
I always say, why the hell did we go to school? YouTube, man. Anything you want to learn, it's just on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question for you too. We were out to dinner last night talking about you. Like I said, we were excited to hear from you. And one of the questions that we had, so I told you, I showed them the pic, and everyone's like, damn, look at his quads. But the other thing that we looked at we kind of zoomed in on your skates. And we noticed that you have 4 wheels, and then
mm-hmm.
and specifically the picture that you sent me, there's a girl, I think, in the background that has 3 wheels. So is there a difference between the wheel sizes, or is there a specific kind of skate that you look for that's one better than the other, or is there an advantage of having less wheels, or you know what I mean? So. I guess it's a real general question, but like, when you're building your skate, what are you looking for?
So what I skate on is 4x110s. So my wheels are 110 millimeters around. About 2014, they came out with the 3-wheel skates, which are 125s. So they're
even bigger.
They're huge. The advantage of the bigger wheels is we call it roll. They have more roll. So they're going to go slightly faster on those bigger wheels. But the problem is indoors, when you're on those turns, they're hard to turn over. Like it's harder to move those wheels quickly when you're crossing over, right over left into the turn. But if you are outdoor skating, like in a straight line, like they are much more advantageous.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there any kind of outdoor competition that's similar to this? I mean, aside from, like a marathon, obviously there's not a lot of sharp turns that you're going to be taking,
Right.
But, if you're inside. So is there any type of like circular speed skating competitions that are outside that, or no?
There are. There's a lot more like internationally, but there are, like here, there's outdoor nationals in Colorado Springs, and it's on a track. It's on a banked track.
Of course, Colorado Springs, right? That's where the Olympic facilities
mm-hmm.
are, right?
There's also a bank track in Florida somewhere. And I think that's it. There's maybe 2 or 3 in the U.S., and that's all. If you look at Colombian inline speed skating, like their government has totally put a lot of money into it, so it's highly competitive down there.
Really?
Yeah, very much so.
That's interesting. It seems like such a random country to just be into that.
Mm-hmm. And you think I got quads? You check out those guys down there. It's like sick.
I will check that out
Yeah.
now that you
Yeah.
said that. So the
Hmm.
so when you talk about equipment,
Hmm.
where would you, if you were interested in getting into this sport, is there, like an authority on this? Is there like a website that is kind of like generally understood to be where you go to get your stuff, or is there like or would you go to like a local hockey, outlet in your area, or where would you go to pick up a pair of like speed skating inline skates?
Speed lighting in you can go to inlinewarehouse.com. You can get a decent stock boot, like a package, which means like you get your boot, get your frame and wheels and bearings like all in one.
Okay.
Or uh, what I eventually when I got into it with the team, like I wanted to upgrade, so I got my skates through the rink owner, who was also on the team. Long history of competing and skating and stuff. So she was able to tell me, uh, get me, deals and told me like advise me like what kind of boot I might like to get into wheels and bearings and stuff like that. So probably a good place to start if you don't know anything at all. I would say go to like inlinewarehouse.com. Sometimes you can pick up some used skates online on eBay. Maybe someone's left the sport. They want to get rid of their gear. That's a
Hmm.
good way to do that. I've sold a couple pair on through eBay.
Did you autograph them before you sold
Yeah.
them?
Yeah. Yeah. Speed skating is just it's a hidden secret. A lot of people don't know about it. Um,
No, I mean you've opened
yeah.
my eyes to this. I mean this is pretty freaking crazy about
Yeah.
and this is my problem is I want to do everything. So
Oh
the
yeah.
idea
Oh
of
yeah.
like just training, I love the idea of training for something and then being able to compete at it at
Oh yeah.
because that's what drew me to the sport of triathlon was I kind of followed the same path that you did where I I've people are sick of hearing the story, so I'll give you the book. What's it called? The Cliff Note version of it. But basically, I always hated running. I was a football player. I played semi-professional football in my 20s, and I played professional indoor football.
Mhm.
And I knew I couldn't do it forever, So I got into 5Ks through a work race that we had, and I did my first one. And I remember saying, "I'm never doing this again," because 5K seemed like a million miles to me at the time, and
Oh yeah.
just wasn't in shape. You know what I mean to do endurance type
Mhm.
stuff. But then I started thinking, I'm like, I went down the rabbit hole. You can do this forever. I see 60, 70, 80-year-old people running races. I'm like, this is cool. And then you start thinking, well, if I did this differently or if I trained a little bit harder, I bet and
Mhm.
then it's just that slippery slope of it becomes like an addiction for me where it's like I love competing.
Oh
I
yeah.
love shooting for that
Oh
next
yeah.
thing. And like I could see you
Oh
smiling.
yeah. Yeah. I
Yep.
can't stop. It's just like I
Yep.
gotta go out and train. I gotta do something.
Yep. So I actually, I have a question for you in a second, but someone just asked, this Jenny Lynn, she is super active here. Um, she said,
Okay.
are there different skates that you have for practice versus competing?
No, I use the same skates for competition and practice. Just about everybody does that. Now, some people have outdoor skates and they have their
Hmm.
indoor skates. But I mean, I use mine for everything. So.
So I'll kind of piggyback off of that too. I told you I'm from Buffalo, New York, and hockey is king there. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Me
grew
too.
up playing, and
Yeah.
I used to play hockey. I mean I used to get the one summer I remember I got second degree burns on my back from playing hockey all day, every day from with my shirt off. Just we played hockey nonstop. And I remember we'd have to change our wheels out quite a bit because we were hockey
Oh yeah.
stopping on concrete, you know. Um, for you,
Hmm.
how often maintaining your wheels? Do you have to
Oh yeah.
lubricate the axles, and do you have how often do you have to change the wheels? Like, what's maintenance look like on a rollerblade like that or a skate?
Oh man. So like outdoors, probably you're gonna change them pretty quickly. Now I've had these for These are my outdoor wheels. I've had these for a couple of years, and they're getting pretty chewed up.
Because they have different hardness, right? That's what you're.
Yeah.
And so, what kind of hardness are you looking for in an outdoor wheel compared to an indoor wheel?
Outdoor wheels are going to be a little bit softer than your indoor wheels because of the asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of absorbs some of the that graininess of the asphalt.
Okay.
So, and actually, it's these the outer wheels are softer than the inner wheels. And I put the softer ones on for more grip.
Interesting.
So your softer wheels are going to grip harder, and your harder wheels are going to give you less. They're going to give you better rolling resistance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So these, I just
Interesting.
ordered a new set of outdoor wheels, and they're $22.50 a wheel. So I paid $180 for eight wheels. Yeah.
Well, when you're an amateur athlete, you're basically just working to fund your sport, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
that's the life of an amateur athlete.
yeah, and of course, your bearings are going to get dirty a little bit quicker outside, but those have pretty good shields on them. So unless I get caught in the rain, I don't mess with taking the bearings out.
Or you go off road or hit the mud or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So,
indoor wheels are a little bit different. I forgot to bring some upstairs, but your indoor wheels are gonna be harder because you're on a wood surface. You're on a consistently hard thing to skate on. So, and there's like two companies. There's like two or three. Like Matter is one of them, and what's the other one? Honey Badger. I know they're great names.
that is a great name. I like it.
So you're going to get a different rolling resistance from company to company, and usually what happens is a company will come out with a good one, and like almost everybody will be on those wheels. Everyone, because you're always looking for that competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those are they're expensive too. So during an indoor season, you might go through maybe one or two sets of wheels. Like you'll have your practice wheels, and then you have your race wheels that you only wear at races.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then after a while, your race wheels will become your practice wheels, and then you'll get another set of competition wheels.
Gotcha. Well, that's how my bike is. Same
Okay.
thing. I have my race wheels. I have. Sounds funny to say, but I have my training wheels too. So
Oh yeah,
when I'm indoors, I'm riding on
yeah.
training wheels, and you got your outdoor wheels and stuff. So makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of the same concept. So the other thing I was going to ask you too is, for me, me and my fiance planned on the World Championships were in August for triathlon, and we were going to go there. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, first of all, you may have mentioned this, and I apologize. What's a typical season? From kind of when races start to kind of happen to the national
Mm-hmm.
championship. What are the months that usually happens in?
Oh man, so usually uh nationals would actually be, if it was going to go, it was probably be starting in a week.
Okay.
So once that's over, things usually kick up again. We start practicing again in probably like late September,
Okay. So it's
first
like
week
a
of
winter
August.
activity, and then, well, that's a
Mhm.
long season actually. I mean, you
So
got
yeah,
yeah,
October to July. Yeah, it's very long.
that is a long season. I thought
It's very long.
I'm a bowler,
Yeah.
and our seasons are 32 weeks, and same thing. Yeah, same thing. So you
Long.
wouldn't do it if you didn't love it, though, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's interesting. It's in the winter. You're driving up to practice in the dark and coming home in the dark.
Yeah, those winters up north are very long and depressing. I can feel you on those. In Texas, they're very
Yeah.
different. So
Yeah.
the other question I had for you too is then how so with everything being canceled, we're all facing as athletes, especially at the amateur level where we're not getting paid. We're not feeling the pressure from sponsors and all that kinds of stuff. We don't have the ability to live in bubbles to compete, right? Like the NBA and the baseball teams do have. But
Right. Right.
how do you find the motivation to train right now since nationals
Oh.
have been canceled and all these meets that you usually are accustomed to for years now you've been going to are canceled? What motivates you? What keeps you going every morning when you wake up? You're
Um,
like, I got to do this.
I think it's just that fact that I just like want to keep excelling. Like I want to keep getting better. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't bother me so much that the things are canceled. It's just like, all right, I got to keep moving forward. I have to train. I want to keep like, even on like the bike or the group rides, like how do I keep getting faster? When I go out and skate, it's like it's that addiction to like the technique and like and practicing and feeling those sweet spots when I
Mm-hmm.
get when I move my body the right way, or my endurance or my heart rate,
Mm-hmm. No, that
my
makes sense.
my speed. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this half mile interval. Um, I want it to go this X fast.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get this aspect of my technique down. I want to feel that power coming down through my butt,
Mm-hmm.
like working perfectly with the skate. Like
Mm-hmm.
this synergy of coordination between the limbs and the wheels.
Yeah, yeah. I
That's
was
what
talking to
turns
talking to my well, I was talking to
It
my buddy
does. It's weird.
yesterday. Yeah, well, I was telling my buddy yesterday who I was talking to. So he's the national aqua bike. So he's the age group national champion for aqua bike. I don't know if you know what aqua bike is. It's
I
you
don't know what
swim and
that is.
bike. So it's a triathlon minus the running part. So
Oh, okay.
it's like a duathlon, but just a different way, different two sports. So
Okay.
anyways, we were talking yesterday and about how do you stay motivated. Now, I always like that question, especially now because it's just there's no and I we kind of came to the agreement, and you may agree or disagree with me, but I think there's one of two paths people are taking. I don't think people are kind of doing business as usual right now. I think people are either using this
Mhm.
break as a way to recharge, take a break, and like, hey, there's nothing on the immediate horizon, so I might as well just take this time to kind of regroup. I think there's other
Mhm.
people that are doubling down and saying, this is my chance to really focus on form, technique, strength, the weaknesses in my game. And that's the kind of the way that I've approached my training. And it sounds like you're kind of doing the same thing too, is you're really focusing on, you know, I, I know eventually this is going to come back. And when it comes back, I want to hit the ground running, as best as I
Oh
can,
yeah.
so
Mhm.
is that
Yeah.
kind of your mindset too, or are you using the, kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, some of it's a little bit of a break.
Hmm.
Honestly, like, I love to skate and I like skating with other people, but driving back and forth an hour to practice was getting
Oh
to be
yeah,
stressful.
and you're
But
doing a million different things too, so it's not like you're just
yeah,
doing that.
so it's been a little bit of a breather, but at the same time, I'm thinking like I gotta keep going because if I don't, then so and so is gonna beat me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'll tell you what.
Right.
So I want to give a shout out to my boy Danny. So I met this guy about maybe a month and a half ago, and I met him at my pool, and the story has a reason here, Jay. So stick with me. But
Gotcha.
his so this dude, you could tell, like, as we talked, like me and you, Jay, we got a lot in common, and we've never
Hmm.
spoken before. Um, so with Danny, we had a lot in common as well. And my third on my bowling team, my third person actually had to drop out, so for the season. So now we have this vacant spot. And I asked Danny, I'm like, hey man, I mean, you seem like a competitive guy and you play sports. Like, would you wanna, maybe join our bowling league? And he's like, I'll come try it out, see what it's about. And um, I taught him how to spot bowl, using the arrows and the correct steps to take and line up and the
Oh.
whole. Well, this son of a bitch beat me.
he
and
was he's bowled before.
And no, he never did. He had
Oh,
never, and he goes, I didn't even notice that there were arrows on the lane. So,
I've noticed that.
so he's like, but he lit it up. So, my average is a
Oh my
161.
god.
So my average is a 161. It's not great, but his average because of that 1 week is a 163. So my fiance told me last week at bowling, she goes, uh, look, and just innocently, just like she goes, oh, look, Danny has a higher average than you. Well, and so this is where it loops back around when you go that competitiveness in you. I wound up bowling I bowled a 224 that night because I'm like, screw Danny, man.
Oh yeah, that bristled your feathers, man.
Yeah, I'm like, Danny's coming for me,
Yeah.
man. I got to get better at
Oh,
bowling here. So, but
that's the
that's
same on my team because it's like he's older than me, but years ago, like he had skated, then had kids, and then stopped, and now the last couple of years he's been coming back, but now he's like starting to like beat me in races, and I'm pissed off about that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like,
and it's a good pissed off though.
it's
You know, it's iron
yeah,
sharpens iron, right? I mean, that's kind of the mentality that I think
right.
that too much of us who are former athletes or have that competitive drive in us don't
Hmm.
don't have a way of getting that out of our systems as we get older. And that,
Right,
really
right.
is, that's really why I started this whole podcast and the show,
Mhm.
is because I want to provide opportunities for people who may not have even considered competing now start to open their minds and like, hey, I know how to skate. I have a pair of skates at home. I can go to
Oh yeah.
nationals for this. And then you start to kind of go down
Mhm.
that path, and kind of, use
Mhm.
that mentality to just, one day at a time, just take steps in a direction where you start to release that. Because I think, people like you are super inspiring. I really do. When you get into something later in life like that, and you compete at the highest levels that you possibly can at that amateur ranks, and semi pro ranks, I think that's
Yeah.
you have a super inspiring story. So,
I've
um,
always I've always like taken notice. It's always kind of been like a inspiring or a turn on when people are older, like late bloomers. Because I
mhm.
always felt like I kind of came late into a lot of things. So um, it's really interesting.
That's
Uh,
a great mentality to have, man. It really is.
yeah.
It's inspiring stuff. So, I'll tell you what, we've been doing this for over an hour. Believe it
Yeah,
or
it's
not.
gone by
So,
fast.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you
Can do this
the
today.
I really, for those listening and watching, I told Jay, when we were twitching, I said, listen, I don't want to hear any more about this because I want this to be organic. I want to meet you for the first time on the podcast. I don't have any questions prepared or anything like that. I just want to have a conversation, and I found
Yeah.
out a lot of really cool stuff about you, man, and it's inspiring stuff. So, after this, I'm going to put all the show note or in the show notes. I'll put all the links that you're going to send me here. I'll text you,
Okay.
of what I'm looking for. But anything else you'd want to add to anyone thinking about getting into this sport, or just anything that we didn't go cover that you think you want to put out there?
I would say, yeah, it's just do it and have fun with it if you're interested in it. And also, there's one other resource interesting to watch: National Speed Skating Circuit, the NSC. It's very interesting to watch. It's sort of like the pro circuit. One of the Olympic speed skaters, I think, had a hand in setting it up. That's on. He went from inline to ice. Joey Mantilla, I think, is the guy that helped set it up. So I can put that in the links too.
Yeah,
It's
please do.
cool. There's cool races to watch on there. Very exciting.
Oh, I bet,
Very
and it's
exciting.
got to get pretty intense to see these guys just and girls just cranking it out, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot at stake.
Yeah,
There's
lots of good ladies out there too doing it. So
Yeah. Well, you said your coach, or not your coach, the person who runs the rink, right? Your home rink is
yeah,
a high.
she's a former national champion, and her son was on the world team, and her husband was on the world team on roller skates. So this has sort of evolved from roller skating for years and years, and then inlines came and sort of took over. So there's a very rich history.
That is really cool.
Yeah,
That is really
very
cool.
rich.
Well, listen, Jay, I really appreciate your time. Thanks. I know it's Sunday, and I think you're going to inspire a lot of people out there who listen to this. So
I
it
hope
was
so.
really, oh yeah, you definitely will, man. So
Yeah.
it was really nice getting to chat with you, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, connecting with you more, on Twitch, and
Okay.
just staying in touch and following your story, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening, everybody. And like I said, all the links that we talked about and everything are going to be in the show notes. So have an awesome rest of your day.
All right. Peace out.
All right. See you, Jay.
All right.
I'll call you soon. I'm in a podcast.
Get ready to get inspired. This is the Go for the Goldie Podcast.
Hello. It's Friday, July 31st, and we have some pretty special guests on today. The two-time Can Jam world champions, Ajay, Savolsky, and Charles Rizzo. Gentlemen, how are you today? How is my lovely city of Buffalo, New York?
It's great. Yeah, it's going good in Buffalo, man.
Man, when I saw you guys come on the podcast and I saw that Buffalo Bills logo in the background, it brought a tear to my eye. You know, it's I miss it. I think there's going to be a season this year.
Hopefully, I want one. I think we all do.
You know, it's going to be it's just like, wouldn't that be something if we finally win the damn Super Bowl and there's no fans, or
I know,
or the season gets canceled halfway through and they're 8-0 or something like that.
Yeah, probably what happened to us.
Probably, you know, it's we should be 24 teams make the playoffs in hockey this year, and the Sabres are, on the outside looking in somehow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the first team out.
It's unbelievable. And living in Dallas, I get it from all angles from the Stars fans down here. So it's rough, but that just makes us tougher. It's going to be that much sweeter to rub it in their faces when we finally win, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess we'll get started here. My first question that I have for you guys is, what do you think the Bills' record is going to be this year?
There you go. Yeah, go ahead. I said 10-6.
10-6. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're going to be better than last year, but our schedule is tougher, so I'm just going to stick with the same record, 10-6.
10-6 usually gets you in the playoffs, so I'll take that. Charles?
I think that'll win the division for sure.
Hopefully. That'd be great. Beat the damn Patriots. Charles, what do you got?
I also had the Bills at 10-6, like AJ said. I mean, it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule. So
that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. It's you guys are teammates. You're tight. Same thought process. So
Yeah. Yeah, right.
No, but seriously. So let's start talking about here the Can Jam. So first of all, like I told you guys, I've never met you guys. This is the first time that we're actually talking in person.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming on a Friday night. I know there's a million other places that you could be right now, especially being, Can Jam world champions. I'm sure you're beating off the ladies. But, the bar's open until 4 in Buffalo, so you got time.
Yeah.
But I guess the first thing I want to kind of go over is what Can Jam actually is. A lot of people don't know what it is. And me being from Buffalo and seeing the growth of it, I mean, I don't know how old you guys are. I'm 34, so I remember when it started, and I remember, just getting hooked on it, and, we bring it to different parts of the country, and people are like, what is that? So, I'll let you guys, because you're the professionals, explain, to the people that don't know what Can Jam is, just kind of like a high-level overview of exactly what the sport is, the objective, kind of a quick run-through of it.
Can Jam is a game with you got 2 cans or goals, and you have a frisbee. The cans are spaced out 50 feet apart, and you and your partner each get a throw. It's a point system, and the game goes to 21 points. Also, if you see a Can Jam set, the front of the can actually has a slot in it, and if you can make it in the slot, it's game over, as well as if you throw it directly in the top. You want to go over the point system?
Yeah, sure. So basically, it's 2 teams. You got to hit 21 exactly, so you can't go over. The goal really is to put it in the can, which is 3 points. So your partner throws it to you, you deflect it into the top of the can. So that's 3 points. That's the goal, because if you get 7 times 3 is 21, quick math, you win the game, or at least have a good chance at it. We get the question a lot, do you guys slot a lot? And we're like, no, it's all just threes, because it's too hard to slot from 50 feet. Once in a while, I'll throw one in there, or he will, but it's very rare.
I'll never forget. When I was in, I must have been, it was a while ago. But anyways, it was at a Bills tailgate, and the other team ended it, but we got final throws, and I slotted it, and that was probably one of the best feelings of my life. Like, that is a highlight of, I'll never forget that exact moment when I did that. So when you slot it, you feel pretty sweet, right? Even though you're not going for it sometimes, it goes in.
Yes,
like, I'm the man.
Yeah. That's how they mostly go in, is when you don't even expect to throw it, and it just goes in the can.
That's
in the slot.
That's divine intervention right there, right?
Yeah.
It means they want you to win. So what I was, so I think that was a perfect description of what the game is. So if you haven't seen it, you can, I'm going to, after the show, put some links in there to, some of the leagues that we're going to be talking about, and championships, and just the general website itself, just so people, if they want to get into it, they can kind of, check it out, see what it is, see some highlights and stuff like that. And I'm sure you guys have footage of you playing. So once this is over, you can shoot that over to me, and I'll put that in the show notes so people can watch that. So I guess before we actually get into the sport, I don't really know anything about either of you guys. So how did you guys meet? Did you meet through Can Jam? Are you friends that started playing Can Jam together? How did this all come about?
Yeah, we're cousins, actually.
Come on, awesome.
Yeah, so we're like third cousins? Yeah, we're third cousins, and we just kind of, I don't know, we just started playing, and the first couple of years we didn't really know what we were doing, but once we watched like other guys play, we kind of got the concept of how to actually play Can Jam, and once we got that under our sleeve, we took off, basically.
You're probably at like backyard barbecues, just slinging the Can Jam around. You're like, shit, let's go professional in this. Let's go.
Yeah, but that's basically it.
It was just funny. Like, we just started playing a backyard game, and like we were young. When our first ever world championship, I was 11 years old. Ajay was 10. So like, it was crazy. We fell in love with it. And like I said, we're cousins, and we live less than 10 minutes away from each other. So over the summer as kids, like we'd had off school, and I'd come over here every day, and we'd just throw for hours upon hours.
So you just breezed over something that's pretty ridiculous that you just said. You said you were at a championship when you were 10?
Yeah, I was 11 and Ajay was 10 years old.
That is, and how old are you guys now?
I'm 19.
And I am 20.
Okay. So you've been doing this for quite some time now.
Yeah. The first year we didn't even touch the playoffs. We just got eliminated right away. Like, we were like, yeah, we'll come back next year. And then we just kept getting better and better every year.
That's crazy.
And then we had a chance in 2013 to win it, to be the youngest kids ever, but we lost in the finals.
No shame in that. No shame in that. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. And then we won 2017 and 2019. So yeah, we've been doing it for quite a while now.
So what, you were like 17, 18 when you won the second time?
Yeah. The second time I was 19, he was 18, and then the first time I was 17, he was 16.
That's crazy. That's awesome. So you got, a bright future ahead of you, right? You're going to be doing this forever.
We got 30 more years of prime in us.
It is so cool. So you mentioned earlier, Ajay, when you said, people ask you all the time, are you going for slots? I can only imagine how many people you have to deal with that are like, Can Jam's not a sport, I could beat you. Like, like dopes like me who are like, yeah, the tailgate was, I slotted it. How often do you get that where people kind of try to discredit what you've done? When they say it's just a yard game, you're just winning because you're in it. How often do you get that kind of stuff?
It's quite a bit, especially being our age, and like kind of like, I'm hanging out with a bunch of people, and like people do now that I've won it twice. I think it's a little more respectable. but it's still like I get some, chitter chatter that, oh, it's not really a world championship, blah, blah, blah. But like it is, like it really is. So
Yeah, that's got to be annoying. I looked at how I found you guys was I just went to like Can Jam national events, and I wanted to get Can Jam champions on here because being from Buffalo and I know how big the sport is there. I mean, you can't go to the beach or the park or anywhere. Delaware Park, people are playing it. Any party you go to, people are playing it. Tailgates, all that. So I kind of wanted to expose it, and then I went to the website and saw you guys. And when I was making the banner for the show, AJ corrected me. He goes 2017, and I was like, "Oh, I thought I saw 2019." He's like, "No, it's 2017 and 2019." And I'm like, "Oh, damn. Okay, I'm dealing with some legit people here. Cool."
yeah.
So what's let me ask you this before we get into the whole Can Jam world. Growing up, I mean, shit, you're still growing up. When you were kids, or still now, I mean, I see the Brockport shirt on you. Do you play any other sports? Did you grow up playing, hockey, football, any of the traditional, team sports, track, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up playing football, lacrosse, and wrestling, and so I mean, I was big into wrestling, and that was my whole thing. Then I got to high school. I was the quarterback of the football team, and so.
Nice. Okay, so you've been playing sports your whole life, and AJ, how about you?
I played soccer, basketball, and then a year of volleyball my senior year. It was fun.
Nice.
Definitely. But I do. Even though I never played football, football is definitely my favorite sport to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I obviously you don't know, but I actually played when there was an indoor professional team in Buffalo. I played for the Buffalo Lightning. So football is a big part of my life too. And that's actually, I don't know how much of the story you know, and people have heard it, but as I was playing football, into my late 20s, I was like, I can't do this anymore, but I like competing. And you'll see where I'm getting at in a second here. But towards the end of my football career, I was like, I can't be doing this anymore, but I still want to compete in something. And I stumbled onto triathlon and just put, all my effort into that. So the point of this whole podcast is, getting to know athletes like you that play maybe not the most mainstream traditional type sports, but still it's a very highly competitive thing. And my goal is to expose that to other people because you guys obviously are competitive. You played sports your whole life. So is that what drew you to Can Jam, or like what specifically really stood out with Can Jam where you're like, I'm going to abandon these traditional sports that I've been playing and I really want to go, all in on this?
I wouldn't really say I abandoned my other sports because the hard thing with Can Jam is it's basically like an outdoor game. So my once the World Championship comes once a year, we practice all summer. But then once it's done, we take a break for a while, and then so we're not really abandoning them, but basketball and soccer, I basically just played all fall and winter, and I didn't really focus on Can Jam. But once spring rolls back around, then we start picking it back up. But yeah, it's not really nothing really. I mean, obviously it drew to me because when I went to my first tournament and I saw how good everyone was, and I'm I thought we were good, but we weren't obviously at the time. So I was I want to just keep doing this and be one of those really good teams eventually. So
that's awesome. And that right there, what you just said, I think there are so many people out there that have a passion for competing, but just don't know how to kind of channel it. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point of these conversations is I want someone sitting at home right now going, wait a minute, look at this sport. This is pretty cool. Wait a minute. There's a national tournament. I can be champions in this, and then kind of spark that fire, So I talk to all different people, and I think this is a really unique opportunity for people because, like you said, there's off seasons. It's not with triathlon, right? Tomorrow I got a 5-hour bike ride. It's it chews up your life. You know what I mean? You got to. But with Can Jam, it's you can be really, really good at it, but it's not something that's going to overtake your life. So if you're someone who has a busy schedule, has a family maybe, or, a really intense job that you're working 40 plus hours a week, you still have the ability to get that in, right? I mean, it's competing with Can Jam, sounds like you have the ability to really have a great work-life balance, while still managing the high competitiveness of Can Jam. Is that right? Or
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, we're both very competitive. So
yeah, well, you don't become a national champion in anything without having a little competitive streak in you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually just got into the Michael Jordan, what's it, The Last Dance. I've been watching that, and holy cow, it is so cool to see that competitive, streak in him. It fires you up. Have you guys seen that yet?
I've watched it.
Yeah, that makes me.
He's a different breed.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. So who is there? Are you like the Michael Jordans of Can Jam, or is there like someone else that who are the big names in the sport, or are there big names in the sport? Do you see the same people when you go? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to work our way up to be that, but no, as of right now, I mean, the Michael Jordan of Can Jam, as everyone says, is Eric Levoon. And I'm actually going to give Eric a shout out here because he does everything for the game. He sets up all the tournaments. He does a great job. He actually works for Can Jam. So
cool.
He does a great job. But Eric's actually an 8-time Can Jam world champion.
8-time. Holy cow.
Yes, Eric's been around and he's had many, many titles.
So if you're an 8-time Can Jam champion, has he had the same? So when you say Eric's the man, right? Like I just said, who's the guy? And you said Eric. So
yep.
Does he have a specific partner? Or is he that good that he just kind of elevates anyone that he plays with? Has he had the same partner for those 8 championships?
No, actually he had 3 with his first partner. And then he actually played with his brother.
They were really good.
And they were really good. They had a three-peat. They won 3 in a row.
Wow.
And then now he's with John Sandino. And John Sandino and him have won 2 together.
He hasn't won. Eric hasn't won since what? 2015.
2015. So he's been in 2 of the last.
He's been 2 in the last 3 finals. We knocked them off last year, and then the Madison brothers, who are a team like us, are like younger, and they're incredible. They're so good. They knocked them off last year. So.
That's awesome. Congrats on knocking them off. You're not going to be like the Utah Jazz to that MJ, right? You're going to stand up for yourself. So I did see when I went on the website and I was looking for you guys, and I may have read it wrong or I may be remembering it wrong. I told you I was a football player, so my head's applesauce. But I thought I read that you may have been the first team to go 21-0. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
that is ridiculous.
In the regular season every year, like every year we've been telling ourselves like we want to be the first team to do this. Like that'll just add to like our championships, and it'll get us another like a first per se. So last year we did it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So last year we went 21-0, and it felt so good to find, because every year we go like 22-1. We'd have like a slip up game and like lose, or 23-1. And last year was finally the year where we just cruised through, and we had our stressful games, obviously, because there's a lot of great teams, but we went 21-0. So first team ever to go that in the regular season.
That's incredible. And when I read that, I double took. I'm like, wait, what? Like you would think just by like what, just a win comes or something. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that can go wrong. To be that consistent in a tournament is insane, or season, but so that popped off when I saw that. So congratulations on that. I mean,
thank you.
If you're just in a backyard playing against, someone who's never thrown a frisbee before, it's hard enough to win 21 games in a row, let alone at a tournament where, professional, the highest people in the sport are playing and come together to do it. So that's incredible. But so I guess another question I have for you now that you kind of went into it a little bit is, you mentioned a season. So I was operating under the assumption, and when they say don't assume makes an ass out of you and me, I mean, I had no basis for assuming this, but I just thought you sign up, you go to a tournament, and boom, you're in. But it sounds like there's a season, or what's the whole format? Like, what's the layout look like?
Well, so when you get there, it is all in one tournament.
Okay.
So it's every year. It's the second Saturday of August.
Except this year.
Yeah. sadly it got canceled. It was actually supposed to be in Virginia this year, and it got canceled sadly. But,
where is it usually? Is it usually in like Buffalo-ish area?
North Tonawanda.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Because that's where it was invented, right?
Yes, sir.
Got it.
So anyways, you get there, and there's normally around 100 teams. They split it into 4 divisions. It's all random draw, 4 divisions. So then they say the regular season is the first part of the Can Jam Day. So you play, it's a round robin in your own division. So you play all 23 other teams, or 24, whatever it is, in your division.
Okay.
So then based on your record inside of your division, there's seeding. So then the top 12 make the playoffs. And then the top 4 get a first round bye. So
you go 5-12, 5-12, 6-11. Then you play. That's like best of 5, and then it's all best of 7 from there, and best of 7 all the way through to the World Championship.
Wow. So, okay. So when you say 100 teams are typically in it, have you pre-qualified to enter this, or is it the first 100 teams that sign up, or how do they determine the teams that are in it?
Yeah, as of now, we're working on that, but as of now, it's just if you sign up to play, you're in.
Got it. That's insane, though. No, go ahead.
Yeah, there's like 25 to 30, 25 to 30 teams that are there every year and are good. They know what they're doing. So
that's like the core.
There's a core, and then but there's also guys that come from absolutely nowhere and they're just super good, and you're like, okay, awesome, we want this,
So you have the you got the Michael Jordans that the regular faces that you're seeing, but you're also getting new blood as the sport obviously is growing and gaining influence.
Oh yeah.
And people, I mean, obviously after this podcast, you're going to have millions of people at your next tournament. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool though. So, I mean, we were talking about earlier too. I think it was you, Ajay, when I asked, do people always say, kind of brush it off like Can Jam World Champions? That's nothing. To consistently win tournaments when there's 100 teams there, and the work that you have to put in a day to, win series and everything, that's incredible. I mean, I didn't know all this, and that's really impressive that, you can be as consistent as you guys are. So that's cool. So I know you mentioned Eric, right? The Michael Jordan guy. We'll just call him Michael Jordan from now on. But he, you said he won 8. Now, is that the most championships that anyone's ever won? Is that the thing that you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you keep track of that. You wanna. So you're shooting for 8 or more. You wanna.
Right. We definitely. Yeah, we want to be the best.
So at a tournament, obviously there's probably a pretty heavy amount of people from Western New York, Southern Ontario, northwestern Pennsylvania, do people come from around I know it's a world championship. So, do you see people from around the country, around the world that, are big advocates of the game that come in and, come to the tournament?
Yeah, there's, so the last couple of years since the sport's definitely grown a little bit, I'd say there's been, the European world champion, there's a European Can Jam world champion or whatever, European championship in Europe. And the European team that wins comes over here to play in this tournament. So the last I think 2 or 3 years, the European team that wins comes over here and plays here. And then last year, I think we had at least 20 states represented from the U.S. just at that tournament, and Canada as well. So we got Canada, Czech Republic, and then 20 different states, I'd say.
So the Czech Republic was the most recent European winner that came over here?
Oh, was it the Netherlands?
Yeah, Czech Republic was a couple years ago. Then the past 2 years has been teams from the Netherlands.
Wow, that's really cool.
So they show up in there. Yeah, it's cool.
Have you guys ever been to the Netherlands?
No.
We had my world championship for triathlon was there a couple years ago, and we were in the race was in Rotterdam. Then we went to Amsterdam and had some fun. So, man, if you want to go over there, kind of that'd be cool, right? If you kind of did the American champion goes over there and plays in the European tournament, right? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah, I mentioned that a couple times. The winner of this one goes to Europe and plays there. That'd be cool.
That would be so cool. I mean, it's to even think that, you're from Buffalo. It's this little game in North Tonawanda that was developed is being played in tournaments across the world. That's really cool. And
we're getting there, especially with Eric. Now we're definitely like trying to progress, you know.
That's so cool. Shoot me, like I said, after this, just shoot me any links that you think would be applicable for someone who is just starting out in the sport, who's going to want to, say, hey, I'm going to try this out. Maybe I'll buy it, and then let's see. We'll go from there. So shoot me the links, like I said. So you've been playing for what, 8-9 years now, right? You said you want to play another 30. Is there like, when you go to a tournament, is there like old people? Is there old people like me? I'm 34. Are there old people that are like 70? Like what ages are we? Is there a typical age range?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's like the Can Jam slogans. It's anyone's game. So anyone can play. I mean, there's guys, right? There's kids that play. So there's been a few younger kids, 10, 12 years old. And then there's guys that play that are in their 60s. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you mentioned, the tournament being in Virginia this year, was there a specific reason that it was going to go to Virginia, or is that just was it a random
trying
place?
to get it to grow?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be in Richmond, so I mean it's a big city. It was supposed to be a really cool time. And like we were talking earlier about Eric, he works for Can Jam and he's expanding. So I mean he's trying to get it out there. So, like kind of like what you're doing, how not many people know it down south, not many people know about it. He's trying to get it so that people down there know about it, and we're expanding and having.
Nice.
We're trying to get more people join the sport. So
yeah, a couple weeks ago, that was June, but anyways, I borrowed we did an Airbnb for my fiance's birthday, and it was, big lake house right on the lake, and there's a bunch of room between the house and the lake. And obviously, the guy from Buffalo is bringing the Can Jam set. And, I mean, my friends were obsessed with it. Like, we couldn't peel them away from it. And I know Claire and Sheila are listening to this, and so sorry we beat you, but sorry not sorry, right? But no, they were. She's from Chicago, that family, and their sisters. And they were like, this is freaking awesome. And I just think when people see it, I think people immediately put themselves in that, I can do that. All right. That looks easy. That looks easy. So it kind of leads me to the next question too. Like you were saying, I think it was Ajay, you were saying about the scoring, it's 3 points, play to 21, can't go over. So, aside from your first throw going in the slot or on top, a perfect game would be, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
So how often does that happen? Is that something that's like you're expected to do?
Yeah. So, and I've got to mention the other points. If you hit the can directly with the frisbee, it's 2, and then if you throw it to your partner, he deflects it and hits the side of the can, it's 1. So that's the other two like point systems they got.
Yeah, that's when I'm playing, it's a lot of me running around with a beer in one hand and diving and making ridiculous attempts to try to get 1 point. So
that's how it is for most.
So to go back to that question, so 7 3-pointers gets you 21. How often are there perfect games? Is that something that's expected of you? And if you get a 2-bagger or a 1-bagger, you're like, or how kind of what's the feeling on that?
Yeah, basically, like we want, like every game, our mindset is to throw 7 threes and get it. Like that's it. Like that's all the top teams. Their mindset's just 7 threes, and even players now are even like there's a strategy if like because you get 2 throws, so you get 8 throws. So say you miss one of those throws that's like not tippable that you can't like put in the top, you can catch it and you can still be okay and throw like what they call a backdoor perfect game, which is you still get the 21 in your 8 throws instead of 7, but it still takes the same amount of turns, if you know what I'm saying. Got it.
So what about a situation where, so say it's, me and, Joe Blow playing against you guys, and how do you determine who goes first?
At the beginning of a game, you flip the frisbee, heads or tails, obviously. And whoever wins the toss normally chooses the hammer, which is second throw. So basically you get you get the last shot, so you got to match them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then, like we mentioned earlier, the Madison brothers, they're one of the top teams. They like to take first. They like to set the tempo. So, I mean, whoever wins the toss gets to choose if you want second or first throw. Most, like I said, most take second. But
So it's like football, right? Where you defer the kickoff. You know, you're going to get the ball in the
Right.
second half, but some people like to take the ball and just, instill their will.
Go for it.
Yeah, like Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes, just give me the ball and I'll go score a touchdown.
Or Josh Allen. Okay, so that's cool. So then, as far as like, do you guys keep track of how many perfect games you've had? Is that something you keep track of?
We try to. I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, when we're in the tournament mindset, we're kind of just dialed in, focused. We're expecting perfect games at that point. You know what I mean? So it's just we're doing our best to stay on track. And
so when you get to, so like you said, it's you can do it in 7 if it's a perfect game, but if you do a backdoor perfect game, that's 8 throws. But either way, so going back to that, me and Joe Blow playing you guys, we go back and forth and we both have perfect games. Then what? Was it sudden death overtime, or how does that work?
Yeah. So you say you both throw perfect games. It's happened. There's an indoor tournament in the spring. This year it's going to be in the fall, I think, because of COVID. So they delayed it. They pushed it back. But it's called the Can Jam Classic. It's in an indoor complex like in North Tonawanda. And basically there, it's just perfect game. I mean, I remember me and Charles, our first year there, we actually won the tournament. We played this team, Scott Silverman and Bobo, who are two guys that are, in the bubble. And, I mean, they were throwing great, but we played like 7 overtimes, just back and forth, just threes.
Holy
Because it's
cow.
indoors, so you got no wind or no outside factors. It's just the Frisbee, and you can just throw, great every time.
So what's overtime consist of?
Yeah, so overtime consists of you each get 1 throw.
Okay.
And that's it.
it'd be like a round. It'd be like another round.
Yeah.
So you each get 1 throw.
Got
and then so say me and AJ throw, we get 6, and then you and your partner throw, you get 6. Then we go again.
Gotcha. Kind of like beer pong sometimes, right? Depending on how you play beer pong.
Yeah.
But of course, you've never played because you're not 21.
No.
And
Obviously,
we're you play a lot of water pong. I understand.
Water pong. There you
Just
go.
want to make it clear.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I guess the other aspect I always like to learn about athletes who perform at really high levels like you guys do with your sport. What's a typical outside of Can Jam? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? Obviously, I don't know. Are you in school? I see the Brockport shirt. Kind of give the people listening, the other side of the story. Aside from Can Jam, what do you guys like to do?
I mean, I work a lot. I'm actually a plumber, so I do a lot of work. Then in my free time, I do a lot of fishing. I'm a big fisherman. I love hunting. I'm real big outdoors, so anything with sports or outdoors, hunting, fishing, all that stuff, I love it. So
very cool. AJ, how about you?
I just enjoy hanging with my friends. I go to college of Brockport. I'm studying sports management with a minor in public relations. So I got my own podcast, actually. I haven't been on it as much, but I do a Bills podcast, which I really enjoy doing. I'm a huge Bills fan. I eventually want to work for like the Bills or something like that one day. So that'd be really cool.
AJ, can I give you something crazy that it's a coincidence that we're talking about this right now. So my path to where I am right now. I don't know if you know what I do for a living.
I do not.
I work for FC Dallas. I work in Major League Soccer. My degree is in sports management. But I kind of went out at it the exact reverse way. When I was in Buffalo, I worked in sales for 10 years. And I kind of hopped around job to job. And I'm like, I just can't stand, just being behind a desk. It's just every quarter, just rank it out. You know what I mean? It's numbers.
Yeah.
So I decided that, me and my fiance, I was like, I want to work in pro sports, but I don't even have a degree. All I have is sales experience. So I basically just, Teamwork Online. Have you seen that? It's a website where basically every pro sports team puts job postings. So,
okay.
So every day, and when we were in Buffalo, I would tell my fiance, I'm like, all right, Omaha, Nebraska, Miami, Atlanta, Portland, Seattle, Minnesota, and she'd be like, no, yes, and like the places these she'd be willing to move to, I applied. So we came here with the intention. We were like, I'll get some, whoever wants to give us a shot, we'll go there for a couple years and move back and work for the Pagulas. I wanted to work for the Bills and the Sabres. And FC Dallas gave me a shot. We were actually at a Blue Jays game in Toronto when I got the email like, hey, we're going to hire you, because I had gone through a bunch of interviews and stuff. And our first time in Texas was actually in the U-Haul moving to Texas. We'd never visited here. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what we were getting into. And now I'm coming up on 2 years with FC Dallas. And I mean, we have no intentions of going back. It's awesome down here. But so use me as a connection, man. Whenever you need any advice or anything like that, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out, especially, a champion. I know you're competitive, and I know you like sports. So any advice you ever need, don't hesitate to reach out, man. I love working in pro sports. It's amazing.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so that's basically, all I do. I play sports, watch sports, it's everything.
You guys gamers? You guys play any video games?
Yeah, I'm a huge gamer as well. I play 2K, Fortnite, a little bit of Call of Duty, some Chell, all the sports games with a little bit of Fortnite in there.
Nice. I mean, it's kind of like a rite of passage for kids your age, right? Like you got to play Fortnite if you're 20 years old, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I during this quarantine, I actually became a Twitch affiliate.
Okay.
And I don't even play.
I watch Twitch every day.
I don't even play any video games. I ride my bike on this app called Zwift, and it's a thing on Twitch. So I got an affiliate level, doing that. So it's kind of talk about a backdoor, perfect game. That's a backdoor way to get a Twitch affiliate, right?
Yeah, that is a backdoor. I go on Twitch every day, so I've never wanted to stream, but I love watching like the streamers, so it's super cool.
It's fun to watch. I watch a lot of the games and stuff that I have no idea what they're doing. There's this girl playing, was it Dark Souls 3? I was watching that, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? It looked like Warcraft or something, and it was cool.
Yeah, I don't get those games. Yeah, I don't understand either.
I don't get it. It's cool. I like seeing people do things that they're really good at. It doesn't matter what that thing is. I just like watching people excel at high levels. So that's why.
Oh, yeah.
When you say you go work on Twitch, and you're just following some people in some random game. I was watching a truck driver simulator. It's like the stupidest thing ever, but it was funny to watch because the guy was entertaining, So
yeah,
you find yourself going down some pretty weird dark rabbit holes on Twitch sometimes. I'm actually doing the same thing with interviewing people like you guys. I'm doing that with Twitch affiliates on that platform too. So
okay.
Kind of understanding, hey, how did you become a Twitch affiliate? Let's hear your story, So going back to, Can Jam, with you guys, like what's the long-term goals? Like, do you have something where you're, obviously you're in peak off-season form. I just saw you crush a pop right there. But what's like, do you have a roadmap where you're like, once things get back to normal, even now, like we're going to meet 2-3 times a week, or let's meet on Saturday mornings and crank out 2 hours of practice, or like, do you guys have anything like that? Or is it just kind of, as it comes, you go?
So like this week, we thrown a lot like this week. I don't know. We just, like we've been throwing a lot, trying to just like get some in before the weather turns to trash again.
Yeah. That's Buffalo.
So. But no, I really don't think for our long term, I don't really like look at that. I for me personally, I just want it like year by year. It's not really like, I don't want like 10. I don't want I want to like focus on 3 and then focus on I don't want to get ahead of myself. That's how I am. Okay. So I definitely take it year by year. And then eventually, hopefully if you just keep track year by year, eventually you'll get to that 10, 11 by the time we're who knows when. And that'd be the end goal, would be double digits for sure.
Very cool. So let's say I live in Montana, or I don't know, some random place. And say I'm listening to this and I'm like, I want to get into Can Jam. Are there tournaments across the country, or is that one tournament that you guys have won twice? Is that the only tournament in the country that you can go to, or how does that work? Are there regional stuff or regional tournaments and things like that?
I mean, the World Championships is the biggest for sure. I mean, there is, you could look them up. There's some smaller tournaments around the United States. I mean, nothing crazy. But if you go on CanJam, it's CanJam League, I'm pretty sure, canjamleague.com, you can actually start an actual CanJam League. Like we have our own Buffalo League. We play Saturday nights in the winter. We play indoors Saturday nights. It's a good time. And I mean, anyone is able to start a league. But like I said before, I mean, across country, like on the East Coast, CanJam's huge. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, the country hasn't really found out about it yet. So it's definitely an East Coast thing to have big tournaments and stuff. But.
So say here in Dallas, say I'm like, say I wanted to start a league. Is there an official, are they like, not sanctioned may be the wrong word, but, like, can I like file to be a part of, like, the example I'll use that you guys, I'm sure, like Bill's Mafia, right? Like if I want to start a Bill's Mafia chapter here in Dallas, there's two, they go through the official Buffalo Bills website and then they like, so it's known. It's like a central database of all the things that are going on, Bill's Mafia wise across the country. Is there like, I go to canjam.com, whatever the website is, and register a league through them, or how is there anything similar? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, canjamleague.com, you can actually register a league, and then you'll get all the updates from CanJam League, all the notifications, all the stuff that's going on in the CanJam world. You'll get the notifications telling you, oh, the CanJam Classic is in 2 weeks. Register now. Like you'll get all that kind of stuff. So
very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you said the East Coast is pretty big, and it's kind of slowly making its way, out here and beyond. What do you think's the biggest holdback? Is it like bad PR or just there's so many things going on that people don't really, it doesn't catch much attention? What do you think the major reason is that it hasn't caught on? Because when people watch it and see it, people get all jacked up about it.
Right. Well, in my opinion, I mean, I think the reason CanJam hasn't really blown up is because, there was never really huge like advertisement, like it's not on TV, like that kind of stuff. But
right.
Like I said before, Eric's doing a great job. I mean, he's trying to work to get us on TV. He's expanding. He's doing everything he can to make the game big. So I'm all excited for it because Eric's awesome, and I know Eric will make it happen. So.
Well, with the it seems like with this whole situation that's happened, I mean, you saw the rise of the Ocho and a lot of these, not obscure, but like lesser known sports that people haven't really noticed. They're starting. I mean, freaking marble racing is on TV. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Like it's to now, especially with the access of the internet and 24/7. Accessibility to social media and exposure to so many different things. It seems like something like this would be the perfect opportunity to really, take advantage of that. And honestly, like for my, shows moving forward, I'm thinking about cornhole, darts, stuff like that, where you see this stuff on ESPN. I mean, I'm at the gym watching cornhole championships. It's like, why can't CanJam be there? That's just as if not more compelling to watch. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's and another thing I want to add about like the not like getting word. Like I think like the people, I don't really think they cared about like really the competitive side. Like there wasn't really anyone in the CanJam industry that cared about the competitive side of it. They just wanted to like party, like like just have like go to the beach and play, not really like a competitive side.
Mm-hmm.
But now like recently, since Eric's got there, since he's like into the competitive side and like the actual sport, not just like selling them just to like get the money and get it for the party or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely gonna hopefully expand.
I mean, you can, if you compete or you're a competitive person, I mean, you're gonna race to see who can get to the car first. Like you're gonna find anything that you can compete in. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it makes sense too. I mean, you kind of lay the groundwork, get people interested in it, get people buying the product, get it out there, and then you start the tournament. So I can see, why, but now I think it's just been out there long enough where I think you really have the opportunity to start, growing the sport. And I mean, does Can Jam, do you know, I obviously Eric very well. Does Can Jam work with you guys in any way to because there's no professional Can Jam players, like an NBA player or something like that. So do they do stuff to help promote you guys, to say, hey, listen, these guys, the young guns, right? That's your team name.
Yeah.
Like quite literally, you two are young guns. Do they do anything to be like, hey, these are two of the rising stars in our sport? Before they're 21 years old, they've already won 2 championships. You know what I mean? Try to build the brand that way. Do they do anything like that with any of the athletes? Maybe even if it's not you, with other athletes like Eric?
No, Can Jam's never contacted me or Charles about anything like that.
Hey, Can Jam, I'm looking at you. I'm looking right in the camera. Will you call them? Come on, clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, the Can Jam inventors, they'll be at the tournament, the World Championship. They're normally at the tournaments, and they'll say they'll acknowledge us, say hi, say you guys are awesome, but they don't go out of their way to reach out to us, and you know what I mean.
See, that seems crazy to me because people love storylines, and the idea of having 2 cousins who played in their first tournament when they were 10 years old, and came close to being the youngest ones ever, and then won 2. I mean, that's a pretty freaking cool story. At least I think so, and I'm sure I wouldn't be alone. And it's pretty compelling. That's cool. And then you got someone like Eric who's won it 8 times. I mean, to win 8 times at anything, no matter what you're doing, that's hard as hell to do. When you have 100 teams in a tournament, and it's not just. It's like in hockey, it's not an accident these teams win. You got to beat that team 4 times to move on. That's
right.
Those are difficult things to do. So that's typically how long does a game last for you guys? For me, I can tell you it's 2 hours because I'm flinging the thing all over the place and it's going into bushes and the street.
A good, a good competitive game. I mean, depending on overtime or not. I mean, if me and Ajay throw perfect, say we're playing a average team, say we throw perfect, they don't match us. I mean, game could be over in 5 minutes.
And I mean, we're talking a straight perfect, not a backdoor perfect. I'm part of the lingo now. You know what I mean? I'm in the community.
You're in the Can Jam fam.
Yeah, I'm in the hashtag Can Jam fam.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, 5 minutes could be a game, or we could have games that go into 5 overtimes, and it could be a 20-minute long game. So. Mm-hmm. So it's all based on matchups. And
so in a sport like this too, I could probably imagine that World Championship. I mean, that's it, right? I mean, you win a regional tournament here or there. I'm sure that doesn't have the same zest, that winning a World Championship is. So I want to hear, I know, on race day for me, the national championship to qualify to go for the Worlds.
Yeah,
I can't sleep the night before. I wake up, I just walk around, I listen to this ridiculous music, I get all friggin' jacked up, I take pre-workout, I'm all fired up, and I just have this routine, right? It's a huge moment. It's like when you're preparing and training for something really hard and you get to that do or die moment. I mean, that's big time. So for you guys, what's it like leading up to that World Championship? Especially now, I'm sure you got the target on your back. You're in that, like you said, the quote unquote bubble. People know you. So there's even more pressure as you win. The pressure gets greater and greater to keep winning. So what's it like for you guys leading up to, World Tournament Day?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I'm pretty the night before, he always sleeps over. So we're always together throwing the night before, getting as much throws in as we can. And then basically we just relax. And I mean, I remember when we were super young, there was a night where we laid up. It was the year we lost in the finals. We were upstairs in my living room, and we were up till 2 a.m. and we had to get up at 7:30. We just could not fall asleep. We were talking about the whole tournament the next day. We were fantasizing about making it to the championship, and then we did, which was pretty funny. But yeah, every year is just it's definitely when you wake up in the morning, it's the easiest day to get up for me. I get right up, shower, I want to get there 45 minutes beforehand, practice, warm up. Do all that.
What's the drawing like? I know you said they do random drawings. Are you there to witness it? Is it a dramatic, a draft? You know what I mean? The draft ball lottery? Or is it you just walk up and see your name on a chart and you're okay, we got, team 1, 2, and 3 here. Let's go.
Right. Eric actually hosts a draft party every year. So we go and watch. He pulls names out of a hat. So basically what he does is like there'll be the top 4 teams from the past year will be in its own separate pile. And then they'll have all the playoff teams from the previous year in another hat.
Okay.
And then all the random teams in another hat. So first you pick all the random teams, like the first year teams that no one's ever seen before. Take them. Then one by one go through the playoff teams in each one at a time. And then the top 4 will be random draw into the divisions.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. So they really try to evenly distribute the talent, it sounds like.
Yes.
That's really cool.
He just started that a few years back, because before that, I mean, you'd have like before that, the 2013 when we made it to the finals and lost in the finals, we lost to a team called Team Domination. The very next year we were in the same division as them.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
And they took us out in the playoffs again. But like we literally played them in the World Finals. Next year we're in the same exact division.
And if you think of the inverse of that too, you could have, a team that kind of sucks, like a brand new team that's playing other teams that suck, and then all of a sudden, they meet you or Eric or Team Domination in the championship, and you're like, you beat them in 30 seconds, and it's like, okay. Well, I guess it may be good for you. I don't know. So what? So you were talking about like in North Tonawanda, you have the indoor, right? You said there's like an indoor championship.
Yeah, that's usually in April, but this year I think it's November, isn't it now?
Yeah, November.
November, which because of the COVID.
Right. I heard about that. I heard that's a thing. So when you go to you show up on game day or match day, what do you call it? Tournament day?
Tournament day.
Game day.
Game day, baby.
Yeah, game day, baby.
Do you guys wear eye black? You should wear eye black. I would wear eye black.
Yeah. We actually just Savage Apparel, who partnered with Can Jam last year, who Eric set us up with. They sponsored the top 8 teams. They all got on their own jersey. So I'm gonna grab my jersey. Hold on.
Oh, please do. That's really cool. So when you say Charles, when you were saying the top 8 teams, does that mean placed top 8 at the Worlds last year? Is that what he's saying?
Eric set it up with them so that he picked a top 8 teams from the past few years, kind of like an average.
So consistent teams, the teams he knows are going to be there. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
So this is our jersey from last year by Savage. Savage Apparel also works with
oh, that's sick.
Ultimate Frisbee and Spike Ball. So they do with all that.
Spike Ball is another sport that I'm going to have on here. I don't know shit about Spike Ball, so it's a whole other world.
Spike Ball's so fun.
Do you guys play that then too? Are you going to be world champs in that?
Well, I always joke around. I've been playing.
All right. So that was a really long workout, but we got it done. Super Bowl Sunday. So let's take a look. We did. How do I look at it? I always do this. How do I look at it? Back. Where do I look? End ride. Here we go. So it's annoying to see the heart rate do what it did towards the end there. A lot of red. I don't know why. Apparently the signal wasn't too strong, but 5 sessions at 10 minutes a pop at 240 watts. Averaged 193 for the 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours and 9 minutes, sorry. Got 5 out of 6 stars because of that nonsense in the beginning, but that's okay. It was just the warm-up, so who cares? And 1,400 calories. That's 5 pieces of pizza. I can tell you I will be eating a lot more than 5 pieces of pizza today. All right. Oh, the interviews were Jay Thomas, the inline speed skater. And then, I don't want to screw up their names. Was it Ajay Cybulski, right? And where are they? Well, you know who it was. And we'll continue. I'll play that one tomorrow on the ride. Yeah, that's it. Have a great day, everybody. Go Bills.